All right, guys, thanks so much. Yes, Ketamine 1, we mentioned a relatively new addition to the psychedelic space on the medical side of things. Adam Deffet, VP Capital Markets, joining us today to discuss Ketamine 1 and their approach to this sector and this industry. It's great to have you. First off, welcome to the show, Adam, for the first time. Let's jump right into things when it comes to Ketamine 1. Give people an introduction here to this company, as we mentioned, a relatively new entrant here.
Yeah, good morning, Brennan. Thank you. You're exactly right. We're a fairly new company, really just rebranded ourselves as Ketamine 1 several weeks ago, but we do have a significant asset base already in place. I think what makes Ketamine 1 very unique and different versus a lot of psychedelic peers is that we are focused on a platform approach that's going to bring a variety of potentially new and exciting drugs for mental health to the market. We're not a drug development company. We're focused on the specific area of the value chain that is clinical assets as well as contract research. So we've acquired a number of assets. All of those, importantly, are existing assets that are generating revenue today. And so our approach is to be molecule agnostic. We want to win regardless of timelines and which drugs are ultimately successful. We do believe there are going to be a number of psychedelic drugs that are really going to change the mental health landscape. But we're not making a bet on any particular one. We're able to do everything from the design of clinical trials through our KGK Science division, right through to the administration of treatments through a pretty large clinical network that we've built out. We've already acquired now 15 clinics within Canada. We have one deal that's closed in the US, in Houston, and then a number of other deals that we're looking to close, including in New York and Miami. So really building out a North American network of clinics. And again, important to mention that these are all existing clinical infrastructure. So they have the practitioners that are experienced. They have an existing patient base. And they've got the experience, then that's very important to us because what we've seen is that it does take a while to ramp up these clinics. And so, we've got a group of clinics that have been working on this for a long time. They're very experienced, but they also have that patient and revenue base to them.
Right, so I love the concept here, and we said, kind of a multifaceted approach to this, type of work. And I want to focus on the clinic aspect here a little bit more, Adam. Talk us through the concept of bridging the gap. I love that, that point that you made, bridging the gap between the healthcare industry and the psychedelic industry, because I feel like that is going to be very important for the long-term success here. So, what do people need to know specifically about what is happening in these clinics?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for those that haven't followed the industry closely, what we're seeing is that a variety of these drugs need to be administered within a clinical setting. These are not going to be things that you will be able to get a prescription for and take home. So there's going to be a variety of new treatments that are going to require that clinical setting. In the case of ketamine, which we're obviously very active in, we're doing IV infusions. So that, you need doctors in clinic, you need nurse practitioners and other practitioners to be able to do this. And if you listen to some of the other companies and some of the leaders within the space, MAPS is a great example. They've said, really what is going to be the key for all of these drugs is going to be a clinical network and safe places to administer these. So we focused very specifically on that part of the value chain. And again, I think to have existing clinics versus building them out, where you're not only going to need time to ramp them up, but as this continues to build as an industry, there's going to be an increasing shortage of experienced professionals. And by acquiring existing businesses, we're getting some of the best within the space.
When we talk about from the clinical side of things, once again, from a regulatory standpoint, what kind of hurdles has the company run into here? Because you mentioned we're operating on both sides of the border, so clinics in Canada and the U.S. Talk us through some of the regulatory hurdles or potential still to come for Ketamine One.
There really are a number, and they're going to be different, obviously, between Canada, the U.S., on a province and state-by-state basis. One of the reasons we've rebranded is Ketamine One, and one of the reasons why we're initially very focused on ketamine is because this is a drug that is very well understood. It's been used globally for over 50 years. It's on the WHO's essential medicine list, and doctors of all types have a lot of experience with ketamine that has been used as an anesthetic for a long time. Ketamine infusions for mental health are used at a much lower dosage. So not only do we understand this drug very well, the side effects and how it works, but we're using it at a lower dosage than it's been traditionally used. In a lot of cases, these are what are called off-label. Ketamine wasn't originally designed for mental health treatments, but we're using a drug again that the public, doctors, professionals are very familiar with and experienced at administering, understand side effects and other effects, and so this is a great pathway into building the infrastructure that's going to be needed again for some of these other molecules as they come up. And so, we see less headwinds, less regulatory risk in ketamine right now versus some of the new and emerging drugs that will take time to build out and to get that regulatory framework in place.
Make sure we get to the research side of the business as well. But before we do that, let's touch a little bit on possible expansion. So, given that, there are still some question marks on the regulatory side, what is the company or what are the company's plans as far as expansion on both sides of the border?
That's going to be a main focus of our business, is to continue to acquire. We believe we've got the experience and, really a capital advantage in this right now. There are lots of opportunities, especially as we look to the U.S., where we're dealing in a private healthcare market. So, we continue to evaluate a number of clinics across the U.S. We're going to be focused on major markets. One of our criteria is that we're looking for clinics with at least 2 years of operating history. And we want to be able to lock in, the operators and to make sure that we've got those critical people that are still aligned with the business and heavily involved. And so, we're evaluating a lot of different potential acquisitions still. Our goal is to get to 30 clinics within the first half of next year, 2022. We think with what we already have in place and the visibility in our pipeline, we've got a great runway to get to that 30 clinic number.
Now, on the research side of things, you mentioned the acquisition of KGK Sciences. Tell viewers what that brings to the portfolio for Ketamine One.
KGK Science is not a well-known company necessarily, but it has a 23-year history. This is a company that's been involved in clinical trials, contract research, as well as a regulatory consulting arm. And so it developed itself in the nutraceutical industry, but it also has strong ties within pharma, more recently cannabis, and now psychedelics. The company's working with 5 different companies within psychedelics, multiple molecules, 2 clinical trials ongoing, and we think this is going to be a major growth area. It's also a very synergistic acquisition for us because, as a clinical trial company, we fit very well together and able to build out a network of clinics and patient base for use to KGK. And so what we want to do is be able to provide a solution that goes right from the design of trials through to the execution of trials within the Ketamine One clinical network, and then all the way through to treatment of patients. So this is all a cash flow portion of the value chain right now, and that's why we're excited about it.
Adam Deffet, VP Capital Markets at Ketamine One. It's an important topic and a lot of interest, coming into the space still at this point, Adam. So, I mean, if anyone wanted more information, what's the best place to find it?
I would direct them to our new website, which is Ketamine.One. And there you'll find more information on the company. You'll have access to our investor deck. And if you'd like more information, there's contact information and you can reach out directly.
Appreciate the time today, Adam. We look forward to an update in the future.
Thanks for having me on.
Adam Deffet, VP Capital Markets at Ketamine One, guys. Back to you.